knew that we would have to talk so much about freaking toilet paper. But that's where we are after the coronavirus panic and nonsense of the past few days. Now, I've been saying this for a couple of days. There is no need for panic buying when it comes to coronavirus. But there's a reason panic buying is happening, and it's not necessarily to do with how people are dealing with coronavirus in this country. Let me explain. All right. First things first, the Prime Minister even had to address this today, coming out publicly and saying that he is going to be in talks with the supermarket chains to make sure that they start to limit the amount people can go and buy here, but also, more importantly, that the factories that make toilet paper here will be able to up their supply, and currently about 40% of the market is brought into the country. Well, we'll end up churning whatever it is machines are that make toilet paper to make sure that there's even more of it, to make sure that we don't have to get in as much from China. Here's the PM talking about toilet paper.
Just before coming into this press conference earlier today, I spoke to both Coles and Woolworths just to get an update on their arrangements, and I appreciate their response and the steps they're taking to assure people and their own customers.
All right, yes, we're talking about toilet paper. But let's get to some of the things that are worth actually telling you what may be really going on when it comes to people buying toilet paper and where it's actually ending up. Now, first, let's go to Perth now. Their story is about, well, the truth about the toilet paper shortage. And they say that about 40% of imports of its toilet paper is coming from China. And also the suggestion is that local manufacturers, as I said, they'd be able to ramp up and would be able to fill the void. Now, here's the whole point. Because factories in China were closed for at least a couple of weeks, but most likely have been closed to try to crack down on coronavirus, we don't know how much of this stuff is being made. It is virtually impossible to work out what is really going on in China. And that, in part, is what is creating concern for locals in China. Is their supply of toilet paper something that is starting to run out? Because we all know this is not a virus that can be cured or even treated with that end of the body. Now, when it comes to what's been happening in Hong Kong, you can see that description that was up there on The Guardian, that apparently it was like a war zone. Now, God, that's an overused cliche, but still, as people have been fighting to get access to toilet paper supplies in the democratised part, well, asterisk, at least the most western bit of China. Well, the supply chain experts have said that recent shortages are just the beginning of what could be months of coronavirus-related shortfalls. Household necessities and non-perishable foods are being hardest hit, but now US retailers could soon be dealing with a scarcity of apparel and electronics, since those, of course, are heavily made in China. So, here's the bouncing ball. Because we don't know whether China has got back to work, we don't know if China is going to continue to supply the world with everything from toys to toilet paper, from cars to electronics, from medical supplies through to building supplies. And that is the genuine threat that might be happening when it comes to our overall economy. But here's what we think is happening. I think this is a situation that's very similar to the baby formula situation, where people are buying bulk in Australia and they are sending it back to China. Now, not every single person who's buying 8, 10, 20 or 40 rolls of toilet paper is doing that to send back to China. But very interestingly, when we tried to ring some of the commercial parcel services, like DHL and others, about, well, has there been an uptick in care packages that have been sent from Australia back to China? They didn't give us any information. When we asked, well, can you tell us what size of these packages? No, and they hung up. Australia Post, they're not going to get back to us till tomorrow. But don't be surprised if part of this supposed panic buying of toilet paper in Australia is not people trying to stock up here at home. Don't be surprised if people are buying as much as they can here because it's not being made back for their family members. Watch this space. I'm not suggesting we need a new tax. I'm not suggesting that we need to ration things at the border. But wouldn't it make a little more sense that if we truly were panic buying about coronavirus, you'd be buying boxes and boxes of water, not just toilet paper? Wouldn't it make sense that perhaps the reason toilet paper is being bought in bulk is because it's going back to, in part, a country that we don't even know if it's making it anymore?